1 Samuel chapter 14, Jonathan's victory. One day Jonathan, the son of Saul, said to his young armor-bearer, "Come, let us go over to the Philistine garrison on the other side." But he did not tell his father. Saul was staying in the outskirts of Gibeah, under a pomegranate tree at Migron, and with him were about 600 men. And Ahijah, the son of Ichabod's brother, Ahitub, the sons of Phinehas, the sons of Eli, the Lord's priest, at Shiloh was wearing the ephod, and the people did not know that Jonathan had gone. Between the passes by which Jonathan sought to cross over to get to the Philistine garrison, there was a rocky crag on one side and a rocky crag on the other side. One crag was named Bozez and the other Seneth. The one crag was on the north in front of Michmash, and the other on the south in front of Geba. Jonathan said to his young armor-bearer, "Come, let us cross over to the garrison of these uncircumcised men. It may be that the Lord will work for us, for there is nothing to prevent the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few." And his armor-bearer said to him, "Do everything that is in your heart, mind, and here I am with you, and whatever you think is best." An armor-bearer is somebody that would help somebody. So he would be like Jonathan's helper. He would do whatever. He'd be willing to risk his life for him because he cared about him. That was his job. And if he cared about him, I guess you'd have to, because you wouldn't want to risk your life, right? But it was his person. I guess he'd have to care about him. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way, but do you know what I mean? So that was his job to take. He was the bearer of any burdens. He was there to help lift him up. He was there to take care of him. There's not bullets, but the spear's going to be coming at him. He's going to be the one taking the shot to protect him from that. And Jonathan said, "See now, we are going to cross over to the Philistine men and reveal ourselves to them. If they say to us, 'Wait until we come to you,' then we will stand in our place and not go up to them. But if they say, 'Come up to us,' we will go up, for the Lord has handed them over to us, and this shall be the sign to us." When both of them revealed themselves to the garrisons of the Philistines, the Philistines said, "Look, the Hebrews are coming out of the holes where they have hidden themselves." So the men of the garrison responded to Jonathan and his armor-bearer, "Come up to us, and we will tell you something." Jonathan said to his armor-bearer, "Climb up after me, for the Lord has given them into the hands of Israel." Then Jonathan climbed up on his hands and feet, and his armor-bearer following after him. The enemy fell before Jonathan in combat, and his armor-bearer killed some of them after him. That first slaughter which Jonathan and his armor-bearer made was about 20 men within about half a plow furrow in a plot of land, the area of which a yoke of oxen could plow in a day. And there was trembling in the Philistine camp, in the field, and among all the people. Even the garrison and the raiding party trembled in fear, and the earth quaked, and it became a trembling and terror from God. Saul's watchmen in Gibeah of Benjamin looked, and behold, the multitude melted away, and they went here and there. Then Samuel said to his people with him, "Take account and see who has left us." When they had taken account, behold, Jonathan and his armor-bearer were missing. Saul said to Ahijah the priest, "Bring the ark of God here," for at the time the ark of God was with the sons of Israel. While Saul talked to the priest, the commotion in the Philistine camp continued to increase. So Saul said to the priest, "Withdraw your hand." Then Saul and all the people who were with him rallied and went into the battle, and behold, every Philistine's man's sword was against his companion in wild confusion. Now the Hebrews who were with the Philistines previously, who went up with them all around in the camp, they also turned to be with the Israelites who were with Saul and Jonathan. When all the men of Israel who had hidden themselves in the hill country of Ephraim heard that the Philistines had fled, they too pursued them closely in the battle. So the Lord saved Israel that day, and the battle spread beyond Beth-aven. So here we're seeing Jonathan's faith, and he goes up, and we see how God gave him victory for things. And then I think we're going to see here, this is Saul's foolish orders. Saul has a more rash approach to things and poor leadership, and you saw that right away with his, I don't know, the anger. Maybe the anger wasn't from the Lord to build up inside of him, but he's got a lot more, or maybe it was, but he didn't know how to control it properly. There you go, either one, right? So it says, "But the men of Israel were hard pressed that day, because Saul had put the people under a curse, saying, 'Cursed be the man who eats food before evening, before I have taken vengeance on my enemies.'" So none of the people ate any food. He's like, you can't eat. You need to fight, but you're not going to be able to eat. So all the people of the land came to a forest, and there was honey on the ground. When the people entered the forest, the honey was dripping, but no man put his hand to his mouth to taste it, because the people feared the oath of Saul. But Jonathan had not heard when his father put the people under the oath. So he put up the end of his staff that was in his hand and dipped it into the honeycomb, and he put his hand to his mouth, and his energy was restored. But one of the people told him, your father strictly put the people under an oath, saying, cursed be the man who eats food today. And the people, they were exhausted and they were hungry. Then Jonathan said, my father has troubled the land with this foolish curse. See how my energy is restored because I tasted a little of this honey? How much better it would have been if only the people had eaten freely today from the spoil of their enemies, which they found. For now, the slaughter among the Philistines has not been great. So they struck the Philistines that day from Michmash to Elajon, and the people were very tired. When night came and the oath ended, the people rushed greedily upon the spoil. They took sheep and oxen and calves, and they slaughtered them on the ground, and they ate them raw with the blood still in them. Then Saul was told, look, the people are sinning against the Lord by eating the meat with the blood. And he said, you have violated the law and acted treacherously. Roll a large stone to me today. So, roll a large stone to me today. It says it's from Leviticus. We'd have to look that one up there. Saul said, spread it among the people and tell them, each one of you bring me his ox or sheep and butcher it properly here and eat. And do not sin against the Lord by eating the meat with the blood. So that night each one brought his ox with him and butchered it here. And Saul built an altar to the Lord. It was the first altar that he built to the Lord. And then Saul said, let us go down after the Philistines by night and plunder them until the morning light, and let's not leave a man of them alive. They said, do whatever seems good to you. Then the priest said, let us approach God here. Saul asked counsel of the Lord, shall I go down after the Philistines? Will you hand them over to Israel? But he did not answer him that day. Then Saul said, come here, all you who are leaders of the people, and let us find out how this sin causing God's silence happened today. For as the Lord lives, who saves Israel, for even if the guilt is in my son Jonathan, he shall most certainly die. But not one of all the people answered him. This is interesting. All right. Then he said to all the Israelites, you shall be on one side, and I and my son Jonathan will be on the other side. The people said to Saul, do what seems good to you. Therefore Saul said to the Lord, the God of Israel, give a perfect lot, identifying the transgressor. Then Saul and Jonathan were selected by lot, but the other men went free. Saul said, cast lots between me and my son Jonathan, and Jonathan was selected. Saul said to Jonathan, tell me what you have done. So Jonathan told him, I tasted a little honey with the end of my staff that was in my hand. Here I am. I must die. Saul answered, may God do so to me, and more also if I do not keep my word, for you shall most certainly die, Jonathan. But the people said to Saul, must Jonathan, who has brought about this great victory in Israel, be put to death? Far from it. And as the Lord lives, not one hair of his head shall fall to the ground, for he has worked with God this day. So the people rescued Jonathan, and he was not put to death. Then Saul stopped pursuing the Philistines, and the Philistines went to their own place. That's very interesting, right? I like it. Just says they, if the soldiers had not been fasting as they fought, they might have had the self-control to properly bleed the animals before they began eating, because they just went down and started eating the animals right away. So if they were fed properly before, not starving, that wouldn't have happened. And it says, when it said God did not answer him, God's silence was taken by Saul as evidence of sin in the camp. And then Saul said he must certainly die, who was against it, said this was Saul's second foolish oath. Saul is not the only one who found himself in trouble because of impulsive oath. Jephthah made a tragic vow in Judges, and John the Baptist was beheaded because of Herod's thoughtless oath. And a group of Jews bound themselves together with a curse, promising not to eat or drink until they had killed Paul. Jesus taught his followers not to swear to foolish vows, but to let them be yes, and their no to be no. Okay, let's keep reading one more. Constant warfare. When Saul assumed control of the kingdom of Israel, he fought against all his enemies on every side. Moab, the son and descendants of Ammon, Edom, and the kings of Zobah, and the Philistines. Whenever he turned, he inflicted punishment. He acted valiantly and defeated the Amalekites and rescued Israel from the hands of those who had plundered them. Now Saul's sons were Jonathan, Ishvi, and Malchi-Shua. The names of his two daughters were these, and the names of his firstborn was Merab, and the name of the younger is Michael. The name of Saul's wife was Ahinoam, the daughter of Ahimaaz. The commander of his army was named Abner, and the son of Ner, Saul's uncle. Kish was the father of Saul, and Ner, the father of Abner, was the son of Abiel. Now the war against the Philistines was severe, brutal, and relentless all the days of Saul. And whenever Saul saw any mighty or courageous man, he recruited him for his staff. All right, we're going to keep reading more and more about Saul here. This is your Daily Bible Chapter, reading God's Word Monday through Friday. See you tomorrow.